This entire channel started with an idea of a Google Sheets Switchlist Generator.
Hey everybody, it's Jimmy from the DIY and Digital Railroad, and today I am starting up a two-parter to show you guys how I set up my operating sessions.
That was 7 years ago, and today I'm finally doing an update to that Switchlist Generator.
This video is brought to you with support from Trains.com. Trains.com is a fantastic source for new and used model trains and accessories. As a special offer to my subscribers, you can use the promo code JimmyDIY to get $10 off your order of $50 or more. You can check them out at the link in the description.
Now this video is going to go over how I made this Switchlist Generator in Google Sheets, all the functions that I did and I created and things like that. If you want to go straight in and just download this thing and start tinkering with it and playing with it, you can go to the link in the description below. It's right there. But let's go ahead and dive into this.
All right, you're going to have to forgive my voice a little bit. Allergy season. This is just what's going on. All right, so now we're in our operations Google Sheet, and it actually has several sheets that we're going to go over, but we're going to start talking about with this one. Now, what I'm doing with this template is I basically put in a few cars right here so that you can play around with it before you put your own cars in. These are a lot from my actual layout, and you can see that I also have their car type, their reporting mark, their car number, their start location, and their destination in there. And then there's this line right here, and that separates what's going to change versus the things that you would input. So you can have your industries right here, you can have your yards or tracks or destinations here, and your special instructions right here. So, and you can do all of that. Now, what I've basically done is I've created some special formulas and some stuff to make this a lot easier in the formatting. So let's go ahead and look. So basically, you don't need to mess with anything right here. These will stay the same. They will not change. They will not move. They will not do anything. What will happen is that the location and the destination will change. So we'll go here and let's look at yard template. Now you can see up here in the formula, we have one that's for location start. Now that's a custom formula that I have made for this. So I can go ahead and open up that formula or function rather. And what we have here, let's go ahead and scroll down to it. Here we go. For location start, and let's take a look at it. And you can see right here, it chooses randomly by saying choose rand between 1 and 4, and then it gives the 4 options of location 1, location 2, location 3, and location 4. So, and when you put that in up here, you can see that I have I2, I3, J2, and J3. Now, those cell locations correspond to the industries, the yard tracks, destinations, and the special instructions right over here. So you would just put whatever cell number is the location that you want it to be. Now, the reason that I have the little $ in between the letter and the number, so between the column and the row, is so that it doesn't change if I need to do like a mass change, and it doesn't change to whatever, like if I'm copy pasting, then it won't change as I bring it down. Like sometimes when you do the little drag down with the dot right here like this, it's going to change it. But you can see right now it doesn't change. It would count it, start counting it up. So that's why that little $ is in between that. If you don't want stuff to change, definitely remember to put that $ in there. So the location starts pretty easy. There's multiple formulas or functions rather for the different number of locations. So let's say a car can have 5 locations. I've made a 5 location start. There's an 8 there's basically 2 to 10, because if it's 1, you can literally just type it in. But for 2 to 10, you have 2 destination, 3 destination, or 2 location, 3 location, 4 location, all the way up to 10 location that you can do. Now, for the destination, it gets a bit more complicated. So let's click here, and you're like, whoa, what is that? Okay, so what we have here is we have basically, we're trying to figure out if the starting location is a yard, track, or something like that, and or if it's an industry. So that's what we're basically doing right here. So what we're saying right here with these custom functions is we have something called yard range. And let's scroll down to that function right here and take a look at it. So this is going to look and say count if car roster is J2 through J1000 and that cell. So what we're saying basically here is, so our yards, tracks, destinations are all in the J column, and we have J2 through J1000 because if you have more than 1,000 locations, you can always just add a few numbers to that. But what we're looking at here is it also has a cell. So it's going to be looking, when we put that cell input in here, because this is not going to change, but that cell is going to change. So when we put that F2, which is right here, it's going to look at that and it's going to see if it has any of these values that are in the J column in there. So if there is greater than 0 of those values are in the J column, then it's going to pick a destination of one of these 4, which I would put as an industry. So, but you can also change that to 3, 5, whatever you want. If it has the industry range, we can go to the industry range, and you can see it's almost an identical formula, except it's I2 through I1000, and it just has those industries right there. So what we have here is it'll pick, since this is a 4 destination, it'll pick one of those 4 destinations. And just like the 4 location start, if I go to 4 destination, you can take a look, and it's identical. Choose random between location 1, location 2, location 3, location 4. Now, the reason that I did this way instead of saying you had to pick an industry or you had to pick this is that so you can potentially put where it's going from yard to yard, as that's one of its things. Or if it is at an industry, for instance, right here, you can choose it to do a specific action at that industry. It can stay in place. It can move to siding. You can do that. You can put that in by doing like the K column, which you can see I have K3 in there, which is move to siding on that. So that's what you can do. The big way to change things here is you just want to change that depending on how many locations it can start in. You would do 4 locations start, 5 locations start, however many you want it to start in. And then here you would just be changing it for 3, 4, 5 destinations on both sides, or however many you want to do. And you would just type in those cell numbers for the destinations. So for the 4 location start, I2 is industry template or whatever you would name it. I3 is industry 2. I4 is industry 3. I5 is industry 4. So just that's what that is. You can also and that's what you basically do. And you can do that and customize it for each car, or you can just make formulas that you put in for different ones. So these are all pretty much the same just because I'm doing this is just a blank template, but you can go ahead and change it to different things. So that is the car roster. That is everything you need to set up the random picker on the car roster. Now this is pretty much where I was at my initial one. It wasn't this complex, and also this not smooth operating, but this is where I stopped when I did the initial Switchlist Generator. The next stuff we're going to do is stuff that I've added in. Now we're in the first one of the templates, which is the yard template right here. So what we have basically here is this is everything that is starting in what is selected as the yard template. And basically what this is it takes first of all, I have a drop down right here, and this has all of our tracks and anything that we can do right here. And so like, for instance, if I pick yard 2, it's going to change. If I pick yard 3, it doesn't have anything because I don't have anything set for yard 3, but you get the idea right here. So all these would be in yard 2, and this shows where they're going. So let's go back to yard template. And what this basically does is right here, you have a query command, which is going to tell it to go look at a different sheet. And I have car roster typed, and then I have exclamation point A2 through G1000. And then it's going to select where column F is equal to, and then you have to put a bunch of crazy things right here. You have to put the apostrophe, quotation, ampersand, B1, ampersand, quotation, apostrophe, and then close out those quotations right there in that for B1. So that's basically saying it's looking at B1 right here for that. And what that does is it's going to go back and look at the car roster in column F. and it's going to see which things are yard template. And it's going to copy them, and it's going to put them right here. So that'll tell you everything that is coming out of that yard and where it needs to go. Now, for your industries. Okay, so now we have our industry here, and this is an industry template. You can do the exact same thing with the yard template. Very similar thing here, but we have two different formulas. So the first thing you do is you're going to select your industry right here, and this will auto-populate from the list on the car roster. And then you have this formula, pickups B1. Now what that is, that's another custom function. I keep saying formula and function, but let's go ahead and look at the pickups function. And what we have here is it's going to look at the car roster. It's going to look through everything, and it's going to select where F equals that cell. And then we just type in whatever cell it is, which in this case is B1. And that's going to give us a list of everything that needs to be picked up from that industry. What we have here is we have our drop-offs, and it says drop-offs B1. So let's go to the drop-offs formula, edit, and you can see that instead of where F equals that cell, it's where G equals that cell. So that's where it's going to there. So that is basically what that is. That basically just pulls everything, and it's going to just populate it all the way through here. When you need to add a new industry, you go to the bottom tabs in the sheets right there, and you right-click on Industry Template, and then it will bring up a bunch of options. One of them is duplicate. Click duplicate, and then you'll need to rename it. So right click on that and click rename, and then you'll be able to retitle it. Now let's take a look at our beginning of the building of trains. All right, so I have my train builder right here. Now this is going to basically be picking everything that's going to go for the train. So the first thing we need to do is we need to select a industry that this is going to be. So you'd pick one from your list. The yard template right here. I should mention, by the way, these lists are set to automatically populate for how many industries you have. So if you change your industries, it's going to change them right here. So don't worry about that. Same way with the yards and everything. This is another industry list. If you need a second industry, all you have to do is copy here. These are basically just options for it to go forth and like just where it can go. So what we have here is basically it's taking everything it's looking at, it's querying a sheet, but it needs to know which sheet to look at. So it's going to look at A3 right here. So that's what's telling it. So it's looking at the industry sheet. So it's taking that value and applying it to that query. So it's saying industry template, and then it's going to look through B2 through H7. So that's what it's going to do. And you can change that. All you have to do is change that number right there on the H, and it's going to do that because you can see back on my industry template, B2 through H7 is right here. So it's this. And if you want to do all of these, it can do all of these. If you want to do all of these, it's going to do that. But that's my way of saying, okay, this industry can handle a maximum of like 5 cars. I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 cars. And that's the maximum that can go to be picked up from there. So let's go back to the train template, and you can see right here that it just puts everything in place. Now, what the interesting thing here, and this kind of adds a layer to it. Let's say that this train it's an out and back, so it goes out to all these industries and pulls them back to the same yard. It's going to go to that yard template right there. So that's where it's going, and all these are saying like only one of these actually just needs to go back to the yard template. The rest of them are going to different places. So what it's going to do is this is going to yard 2, this is going to yard 2, this is going to yard 2. So this just says return to yard template, return to yard template, return to yard template. It'll be hooked onto another train that goes to yard 2. Now, for the industry that it needs to go to, you're going to route this through the yard template. Now you can change all of this because this is actually a formula that I tried to make a custom function for, but it just didn't work. And what we have here is you can see that I have all of these numbers right here. And basically what I'm saying is this is the ifs, the multiple conditions to see which one matches. So what we're doing is if G5 equals B3, so that's yard template, it's just going to it's going to make that blank. So I just chose I3, which is blank, and it's just going to put that in there. If G5 equals C3, right here, this industry, it's going to say route through B3, so that yard. If is blank, it's going to say I3. So if it has nothing, it's going to say I3. For this one, it has, if it's any sort of special instruction, which are the K column back on the car roster right here, what it's going to do is it just leaves it blank. So it's not going to worry about that. Now, if we get back to where if it's just straight up not equal to B3, if anything is not equal to B3 right here, where it's something weird, it's just going to say return to the yard. So what we have here, as you can see, for going to yard 2, it's going to say return to yard template right there. And then it's going to say for industry, route through yard template. And then for just going straight back to the yard template, it's not going to say anything. And for yard 2, it's not going to say anything. So now we can go to our drop-offs. Drop-offs are basically the same, except it's going to take it from B25 through H32, which is right here. So it's taking all of those. It didn't even get all of them right there. And we have something slightly different here. This is a slightly different formula. This one is going to the yard template, or from the yard template to the industrial template. This one's going yard template to the industrial template. And this one's coming from yard 2 to the industrial template, which means it needs the route to yard template so that it can be put on this train. And that's what it is. And then you have this gray line right here. So what you would do to do multiple industries is you just go here, here, copy, paste. And then you'll just need to do some adjustments here. You'll just need to change your cell numbers right here. You'll need to change this to, let's see here, what is it? B. So this will need to be, all right, so that was okay, A47. This one will need to be B47, C47, B47, B47, B47. And then we just need to copy it all the way down this way. And then we'll switch it to a different industry. And there we go. Now everything's doing industry 2. And that's also coming from the yard template, and we'll need to go to industry template. There we go. Or we'll just say it needs to go to industry 3, whatever. No biggie. And then you just need to adjust this. So this is B47, C47, C47. And that's 2 industries on that list. And this is basically the beginning of the building of the switch list right here. Speaking of switch lists, there's a lot of space here, and this would print out a lot of different things. So let's look at what the final switch list is going to look like for this. Here it is. Now you can go in and format it a little bit better, but basically this is what you have for all of this. So this basically took all the spaces, pulled them out, compacted them, and put them right here. So however many you did. And what you do basically is you go here, and when you're formatting, see, I can do this and it shows everything. All you have to do is go right here and check off blanks for filtering, and it just brings them all together like that, and you have a nice, clean, relatively clean switch list. If you need to, you can go in and do a little bit of formatting. I find a little bit of bolding. It goes a long way. Now, in order to have everything picked up, you have a couple different things. What you have here is you have your, first of all, you'll get your title here. So it'll query train template A3 with that function right there. And then for everything right here, it's going to do a query for train template A4 through I1000. So basically, whenever you need to change the name of the train, all you have to do is type in whatever that sheet list of the train is right there, and it will build it. So there you go. So this would be your final product right here. And you can do multiple ones of these. So this can be expanded out to a lot of different things. And I'm going to make this a template and everything should work together.
Now, I have a link in the description below that's going to give you the template that you can take and you can modify to make it your own. And what I want you guys to do is that, especially if you know more about Google Sheets than I do, take this thing, see if you can modify it, see what works, see what doesn't, and try to make this thing even better. We're going to make this a community project because I really, really like this thing, but I know I haven't thought of everything, and I know there are people that are better at Google Sheets and things like that than me. So let's make this a community project, and let's make this the best automatic switch list generator that we can. So link in the description below. Check that out. I'm also going to just put a link to the video that I did all the way back almost 7 years ago now, right here. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Jimmy from the DIY and Digital. Stay safe, be kind, and happy railroading.